evening, good morning, good night. This is your anti-social from beautiful Lake Vancouver in Vancouver, Washington, not Vancouver, Canada, because I can't afford to, have free healthcare. Today we have somebody amazing because I saw his videos and my jaw is still somewhere over across the street in the lake. Mr. Michael Rayner, how are you, sir?
I'm great. I guess I was thinking about Vancouver, Washington. Where is Vancouver, Washington?
Okay,
I'm
like
stunned.
everybody's heard of Portland because we're under war right now in
Right.
Portland, yeah. And,
Yeah.
and the missiles are flying, and the tanks, and everybody's up there mowing their lawns. Well, we're literally over a bridge from Portland, so
Okay. I know where exactly. I know that bridge. I know that well. Okay,
yes,
now I know where you are.
we're the gateway to McDonald's, is what I tell people.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes, so all is well here in Los Angeles slash North Hollywood, California.
Oh, you're a no-ho.
It's gonna
Okay.
be it's gonna be a hot day today. I think they said it's gonna be 90 today. It's
But
very,
there's no global warming.
I
I
know.
used to live in Sherman Oaks, right near a guy you might have heard of named Gary Shandling.
Of course, of
And we used to watch
course.
him play basketball like all the time. So I kind of miss LA, but then I don't miss the 405 or the 5 or driving anywhere. I
Sure.
think one of my cars is still somewhere in Sepulveda, just
Oh,
waiting to get through a red light somewhere.
there you
And I haven't
go.
been there since 89. So no, 90, no, geez, 94. Oh gosh, that's a long time.
You left, I arrived. I arrived in
Oh,
94.
and where are you from, my friend?
Uh, from Michigan, born in Michigan.
Same as my husband.
Um, and then I just I'm gonna it says this meeting is being recorded. I'm gonna push OK. I want to make sure they know it's OK that it's being recorded. I didn't even see
Yes.
dialogue
We
box.
don't want any of the, the spy police coming at you from Facebook
Right.
someplace. Yeah.
Palantir. But Michigan, which is there was a small town called Goodrich near Waterford, near
I
Flint.
know Waterford. I lived in Pontiac for a little bit.
Okay, I was in Pontiac many, 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 many times in Pontiac.
Aw,
So there, the football stadium there was the Pontiac Silverdome for many
that's
years
right. That's
until
right.
it was
And
imploded
now
or
it's the
whatever.
Pontiac, let's put used cars in there until somebody figures out what to do with it.
And I didn't even know about that. Yeah, because I've not been Michigan wise for a while. I haven't been back
Oh,
to
yeah. It's
Michigan in a
so
while.
sad. You looked at the Silver Dome and it's the big tent thing, the big, beautiful dome part of the
Right.
dome is now on the ground.
I didn't even know that.
Oh, it's so sad. It looks like it's straight out of Portland war zone. It just
No,
looks horrible. And Michigan, man, did you grow up? You were born and raised
in
the
my
little.
small town in Goodrich, born and raised, and left in what year did I leave? Goodrich was it 1984 or 85, somewhere in there. But in that I would sometimes do a lot of amusement park shows. I was at Six Flags over Georgia. So during the summers and weekends in the fall and spring, I would be there, but then I would go back. I would drive back and forth. Like I would perform, and then finally it shut down, like I think on Halloween. And then I would go back home from November, December, January, February, March, and just shut
Uh-huh.
down my apartment and just keep it and then head back. So that
Oh,
was
that's so fun.
3.5 years in Atlanta, like several years in Orlando, then traveling across Canada doing shows, then got to LA, and I've been in LA since 1994.
I
That's
gotta ask, did you go to clown college?
no, I
Okay.
didn't. I did not. I read a book and started figuring out tricks. And I was very antisocial. I've never been to a juggling convention. I don't really care about those.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
know a few
interesting.
jugglers, professional jugglers, Scotty Meltzer and these guys, and a
Yeah.
guy named Penn Jillette you might have heard of.
Of course. In fact, the very first time I met Penn, before I met him socially, and I know Emily a little bit better,
Hmm.
I was in Vegas just visiting, and he was at the Krispy Kreme. This is way before he lost weight and got fit
Yeah.
or whatever. I saw him at
You
the
might
Krispy
have
Kreme.
met me then because I was married to Jonesy, their music director.
Oh, of course. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, it was in fact, I just saw him at a Krispy Kreme and said hi and said I was a fan. But then I do a lot of shows for the Pitchfords, which they know Emily Gillette and they know Penn really well. And so
Hmm.
when I sometimes go to the Pitchford house to do shows, Emily Gillette is there.
Yes.
I think I met her a couple times. And then when they had a big Christy Pitchford birthday party at the Magic Castle, then both Penn and Teller were there, and I got to briefly say hello, and that was fun.
Oh, that's so cool. And now their kid Moxie is doing magic.
I sometimes you'll see that on the social media on occasion here and there.
Yeah, they're kicking ass.
Yeah.
They fooled dad. So that's pretty cool.
There you go.
I know it's a small planet when it comes to, for those who have not seen Michael's work, we are going to put a video or two clip in this interview, so you will see some of his stuff. But I was sitting there having one of those days where I had just interviewed 9, 10 directors at a horror convention. And so I was like, horror brain, horror brain, horror brain. How much blood do I have to look at? And I needed to detox a little bit. So I just clicked on Facebook, and all of a sudden this guy's stuff appears. And it's the most phenomenal magic I have ever seen.
More juggling than magic is
But
not.
in my brain, it was
Yeah,
magic because it
it
was
does seem
happening like,
magical. In fact,
yeah, I don't mean like magic like Penn and Teller magic. I mean magic like things
yes.
were happening that I could not explain. Physics
Yeah,
were
yeah,
not
yeah.
working in my brain at all.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, no,
And
no.
you were a
No,
little boy. You said, I'm going to make things float in the air.
no. I was 18, and when I was 18, my influences were Steve Martin, who did minimal juggling in his show. I saw him at 15 at Pine Knob at an amphitheater in Michigan. And then when I was 18, I went to New York and saw Michael Davis
Oh,
do
Mr.
a
Carry the ping pong balls.
yes, I saw Michael Davis in Sugar Babies with Mickey Rooney and Ann Miller.
Oh,
And then those two influences aligned with um, I graduated high school with a 1.97.
that's an artist. That's an artist
I
skill right there.
I got into college by doing a special program at the University of Michigan Flint. They let me go to college. And
Wow.
so right before college, I just got books on juggling, rudimentary juggling tricks and novelty stuff, and started practicing and then figuring out my own way, because it's like, there's so many Michael Davis knockoffs, you know what I mean? There's so many Penn and Teller knockoffs. There's, people are ripping off Rudy Kobe, and you kind of learn the tricks, and then you have to figure out your own way. And that's what I did. So,
That's amazing. I'm sorry if you hear the dogs barking in the background, but
oh no, that's fine.
the Amazon fairy showed up, so
Uh,
they get, where's our cookies? That's all they do. This is pretty amazing. So you had no ambition at all to do this as a little kid. What did you want to be?
no, no, I didn't know. I was very shy.
Oh,
Whenever people say that your personality is the same and locked in, that's completely untrue. From like 0 to 18, I was one thing, and then 18 to now, I was a different thing. But
isn't it amazing when you find that spot in your life
yeah,
and you just
yeah,
suddenly
yeah, yeah.
blossom?
And to be fair, I was talking to friends where they say that when I'm doing a live show, I'm very animated and loud and good natured, whatever. Um, but off stage, I'm just very normal. Not I wouldn't say
What is
shy.
that? What is that normal word? What is that?
Yeah, I mean,
Normal.
but
Don't
it's like
understand.
I don't always have to be, on, as they
Yeah.
say. And I said it, if I was always on, it'd be insufferable. You know what I mean? So
Robin Williams used to say the same thing.
yeah,
People
yeah.
would hate me if I was like this all the time.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like, because it's like on stage, you're an extension of one thing, and then off stage, you just got to go, you know, take the
Have a
dog for a
life.
walk.
Yeah, you got
Got
to
to
walk
do,
your dog. You got to
yeah,
get your mail. You got to,
yeah, yeah. And so that's the thing. So that's how it all panned out,
That's so amazing. It's so cool
Yeah.
because I am in awe of anybody who's able to find that one thing within them and
Yeah.
just make it fly.
Yeah.
People like Misty Copeland who became, this prima ballerina, and people like you doing what you're doing. It just floors me that you're able to tap into that one thing. I'm one of those people that had to do 65 things, so stand-up comedy and
Yeah.
drumming,
Yeah.
animation. Um, but what was your first show like for you?
I don't even know if I can even remember. There was just like I have like I learned how to do tricks. Oh, you know what? I do remember. I do remember.
Let's hear it. I want to hear all about it.
This is very interesting. I never even thought about this because I have talked about it before, but because it's been so long, you've got to remember this is like going back, I think, so I was 20 and I'm 62 now. This is
Oh,
going
same age.
back 42 years. Um, here's the deal. I had like a bowling ball and a hatchet and like maybe just like some other little thing in my car, along with two or three other little things, like basic beginning of a show. And I was at a country fair in Michigan called, it was in Ortonville, which is approximately
Oh,
7 miles from Goodrich, or no, not 7 miles, like 2.5 miles, very
wow.
close.
Bicycle
Ortonville,
away. Yeah.
Ortonville, Michigan, they had a country fair, and then they had a talent show. I said, does anybody have a talent? Like, you didn't even have to sign up. So I said, okay. And I went and I performed, and I think I made like $50 or $25 or something like that. And then I went and saw with my buddy, we went and saw the original release of Blade Runner when it first came out, So that
That's
was
my husband's favorite movie. He'll
yeah,
talk that
yeah,
and the thing. He'll talk about those
yeah,
things all
yeah,
day.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so is Decker a replicant or not? Let us delve into that.
Yeah.
I think he is not. That is my take.
Yeah, my husband is convinced he is. I am also convinced he is not.
Yeah, I there's too much. I just feel that he is not. But who's to say?
Yeah.
I mean, did they cover that in Blade Runner 2020 whatever with Ryan
They
Gosling?
they kind of do, but they still skim it, so it's still a
Yeah.
mystery, which I
Okay.
liked.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and then hearing the director's commentaries too are always wonderful when you're sitting
But
there.
in the director's commentary, does he allude one way or the other? Or does he keep it a
No, he
mystery?
says he likes to let people think about it.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
which makes perfect sense.
Yeah, 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 yeah. My favorite monologue of anything is Rucker Hauer when he could kill Harrison Ford, Decker, and he's just saying, you don't understand who I am and what I've seen and how precious life is. If anybody wants to talk about the nature of art and talking about the preciousness of life, is people that have like I think the replicants were like 4 years. Was it 2 years or 4 years that they would live or something
Two,
like that?
2 years.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah,
just like, and he'd seen so much in just his 2 years,
yeah.
And it's sad that like little performances like Rucker Hauer like that, I feel that never really get acknowledged. That
Well, even
Rucker,
even Sean Young and Daryl Hannah. Daryl
of
Hannah
course, of
was
course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no,
stunning in that movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I know, trust me, Blade Runner is just, and because it was one of the first kind of noir type of weirdo. There's so many moments in it, and everything. I mean, so
It
yeah,
really brought cyberpunk to the forefront for
yeah, yeah,
lots of
yeah,
people
yeah,
who'd
yeah.
never heard of it before.
Yeah, and I never did. Did you ever read the Philip K. Dick novel that
Yes.
has it? I feel it's a whole different piece of art from the original source material,
I looked at the fellow who wrote Tarzan, Burroughs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was to me was a cyberpunk novel in a lot of ways
Oh, interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because it goes from being completely primal to completely into this new
Yes.
generation.
Yeah, yeah. So, anyways, I don't even know how we got. Oh, because I went and saw it from my very first. That was
Yes,
my first money I ever got in show business.
that's
And
cool.
then immediately I started signing up for local talent shows and making $25, $50 here. Then it just started from there. And it's a weird lineage when you then, at the exact same time, remember I got into college.
Mm,
Um, while I was at college, I would go to school during the day. At night, I would sweep the floors and whatever, and take the garbage out to a big garbage dumpster. And
mm.
right that I saw across the parking lot, they were creating something, and it was an amusement park called Auto World, which was featured in the Michael Moore film. That it was an ill-fated amusement park. And
Yeah,
when it was being created, I was like, oh, I bet they'll have auditions. And I auditioned once and did what I thought they wanted, and it didn't go well. And then
that's all. That's always the worst way to go.
I
Whatever you think they
auditioned
want.
again and just did what I wanted to do, and the guy loved me. And then I did 7 shows a day
That's exhausting.
for 90 days. And I'm not talking Monday, like 6 days, weeks. I'm talking every day. And I had one day off because I just decided, well, I just want to work every day,
Yeah, and who else is going to be you? You're the only
Yeah.
you they got.
And
So
that was the formative of just like every day exploration, figuring things out, doing whatever tricks that and that just started that, along with then going from that to not to I went to then from there to not Knott's Berry Farm. Oh, was it not? No, no, no. It was Busch Gardens in Florida after that.
oh, Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I went over to Six Flags Over Georgia for 3.5 years, and then down to Universal Studios Florida. So much of my work was amusement park, just really grinding the grind of amusement park, and then
Keeping people occupied while they were standing in lines or waiting for
yeah,
ice
but
creams
they
and
had
stuff.
little stages for us. It was really nice,
I was Porky Pig at Six Flags,
Oh,
uh, Magic Mountain.
oh, right here, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Um,
got me
so
through
yeah,
college.
there you
So,
go. So yeah, so that was the beginnings of it all. And then once I got to LA, then just a lot of other things, acting, and then just warming up for sitcoms, corporate
yeah,
events.
you and I both have that same background. Where did you get? Where did you do your? They call it for those who are watching who never heard of this. Before every type of sitcom you've ever seen on television,
Mm,
and most things that are taped, they have a
yeah,
stand-up comic that comes
yeah,
out, warms up the audience. And
yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
we,
yeah,
we are fed things to tell the audience to get them warmed up, and
yeah,
sometimes we just go free.
yeah.
Where did you work for, and what kind of stuff did you get to do?
So the very first thing I did was for free. It was like I did like 18 minutes. And how it worked was there was a guy named Michael Malley who was the host of a show called Guts. And then when I was working at Nickelodeon, in between my amusement park stuff, people liked me. And when I was at Universal Studios, I said, "Oh, you're good with the kids. Do you want to produce TV shows for kids?" I said, "Okay." So I went from
That's small.
being on the streets to being a TV producer in an office, but I was making half the money, which was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So during that time, I was working with casting. I gave my girlfriend, now wife's, headshot to casting, and then she got this Nickelodeon show, a sports action show for kids, where they do like American Gladiator type of things.
So fun.
Then the guy that was the host, he said, "Hey, I'm coming to LA." This was way after that show had done. He was doing a pilot and said, "Hey, do you want to come do a few of your tricks?" And so I did tricks at the show and met the actual warm up, who was just a super nice guy. And he gave me a tutorial. Then I just started that fall, I cold called every single show.
That's
And I
cool.
got on, my first show I got on was, what was I did 2 episodes of it, or I did maybe 1 or 2 episodes of a show called DeResta with John DeResta, this cop that became, he got his own TV show from being a funny cop. And I did one
Oh,
episode of that.
I think you were okay.
I did one episode of that.
Uh,
Then I did something else, but it all led to then calling up a woman that said, "Hey, I do warm up." And usually I would get the PAs when
because
I
that's
would
what always
cold
happens.
call, but then
Always be nice to the secretaries, always be nice to the PAs. Yeah.
I got the line producer. She said, "Oh yeah, yeah, let me talk to the guy that knows you." And it was for a show called Secret Lives of Men with it was like 8 episodes, 10 episodes, something like that, with
Mhm.
Mitch Rouse, Peter Gallagher, and Bradley Whitford. Those were and it was a Whit Thomas
What a
Face
cool
production.
cast.
And so they really liked me. And I did out of the 10 episodes before they were canceled, I did 8. And then that kind of got me into the into the zeitgeist of doing warm up. But then once Survivor, the TV show Survivor debuted and got
Uh,
huge numbers, multicams, which were so much more expensive to produce than reality show,
yeah.
slashed on the budget. So all the old school warm-ups got more of the work than I did. So then, you just go on to the next thing. And at the same time, I think I did like 65 national TV commercials just as an actor. So
Just as an actor,
yeah,
act is hard.
yeah,
People
yeah,
don't realize how hard acting is because
yeah,
not only do you have to read your lines and know your lines, but you have to
yeah.
be able to understand what somebody else is trying to tell you to do when they don't always know.
Yeah, I mean, commercials I figured out because it was such micro moments. Like with 30 seconds, I know, oh, do this, and then it'll be cool and they'll like you. I mean, the cool thing about the commercials, one of my first big ones that I got that got me Taft-Hartley was with Ringo Starr. They flew me to Canada to work with Ringo, and that was really fun. And then met a really good friend on set who's a magician, Steve Valentine. Had you ever met Steve
Steve
Valentine?
Valentine's a sweetheart. I
Yeah,
love him. I
yeah.
used to hang out with, as you know, Penn and Teller, but Steve was a friend of the late great Johnny and Pam, the great Tom Sony.
Of
So
course.
I got to meet him through them. So
Yeah, yeah. So Steve became a great friend, and I knew him when he had his ex-wife to his wife now, and just would see him at auditions all the time. And
And he's a very pretty human.
yeah, so yeah, so I just knew Steve forever. And then and I don't know if you ever, and that's how I kind of got in through him. And also my buddy Woody Pittman, who was long since passed, he was a magician. They got me into the Magic Castle to start performing there.
Such a cool place
You
to
know, and
work.
I met in, like, I was in one section, like I was in the Palace of Mystery because people knew me. But
Uh,
then once
that's a big deal.
yeah, it was fun. It was great. And
Yeah.
then was it what was the gosh, I'm blanking. And then who took over entertainment directing, who was a mentalist that most recently died, like 3 years,
Uh,
2 years ago, or Max Maven.
yeah. I was
During
gonna
the
say,
Max
it's not
Maven,
Hal. Don't say Hal.
Max didn't know my work, so I was like, I was not there for like 6 years. But then once he gave, and then once it became other people booking it, once Jack Goldfinger
Mm,
was in, he knew me. And Erica was always a fan, Erica Larson. So then,
right.
in fact, I'm always there like once a year, once every 8 months. I'm gonna be back in December. So
And
yeah.
it's one of those cool places for those who have never got the chance to go to the Magic Castle. It is one of those places.
Yeah.
First of all, you're always going to see Doogie Howser.
Well, yeah, I've actually balanced Doogie Howser's shoe on my nose twice.
Neil
Yeah,
Patrick Harris. He's
yeah,
everywhere. He's everywhere.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's one of those places that the first time you walk in there, you don't know what to think, and then you have to know a password, and you have to, okay, you're like, okay, I'll know the password, and if you
yeah,
get it wrong, it's pretty fun. The whole place is used to be even more trickstery that now that
yeah,
people know about it more.
yeah,
But
yeah. So
such a
yeah,
great place to
so
be.
that's, and then then you probably saw me career wise when everything shut down and I lost all shows, so I just became a social media person. There you go.
Yeah, and that's a weird change from when you were a kid and you were antisocial,
Oh
and I'm
yeah,
antisocial,
yeah,
and you're coming into the, COVID turned that to me too.
yeah,
I was just playing games and watching TV, and people are
yeah,
like, "I
yeah,
want to see you do that." I'm like, "What? What is
yeah.
wrong with you?" Yeah, so
So there you go. That's how I got onto the social media. And then my first big social media, one day, it was like I woke up and I had like 50,000 more followers because um, Jessica Chastain was a fan, and she put me on her thing and said, this guy's doing COVID right, or something like that. The next big one was Josh Brolin put me on his story, and he said he wanted to be me.
oh,
The next big one was Jennifer Gardner was just like, she was a fan. And so that boosted me from, like, when I first had like 100,000 to like 400,000. And now I just steadily get followers when people find my stuff and like it. So I think I've been viral on TikTok about 27 times, like over a million. So
see, I am amazed at everybody who does TikTok because
I've
to
had like
me,
27 videos go over a million. One went to like 26 million. On Instagram, I probably had 20 videos go over a million. And then on Facebook, probably I don't know, 15, 10 to 15. I'm not sure exactly.
and then the world suddenly becomes this really cool place where, like, oh, I know somebody in South Korea. Oh, I know
Yeah,
somebody in
there
Austria.
you go. Yeah, yeah.
We just interviewed somebody in Prague.
There you
So,
go.
and Stephen Banks, speaking of
Of
Nickelodeon.
course. Yeah, yeah. I know. I hang out with Steven all the time. We're always doing
We just
shows
talked to him
together.
last week. So,
Yeah, yeah.
he's
Yeah.
so
In fact, we did a show many times called Tony Martini's show at the Three of Clubs. He would also do Brookledge when I was doing Brookledge and other various events.
Did he ever come as Billy the Mime doing your show?
All the time. That's
Yeah,
usually what he was doing. On
good.
occasion, though, he would do like a guitar bit or a music band bit or something, but mostly Billy the Mime.
Yeah. Well, the
Um,
first time I saw him, he was doing his TV show for Showtime. And
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was just so blown away by
Yeah.
here's a guy who's doing my life on a TV show.
Oh, that's
Where he
great.
walks into the room and just sings at everything and dances and plays with things. That's me.
Yeah.
So,
And it's like, and I went and saw Clown Town, which he helped create into a movie that was produced by the Pitchfords, and
yeah,
and Penn was in it, and I think he was an executive producer on it too. And so yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
So
and
yeah.
now Big Whoop is out. And
Oh yeah, Big Whoop. I always think of it as Compton, but Big Whoop.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I went and saw a premiere with all the gang, and it was really fun. So
Oh,
that's nice. And so yeah, and Steven's always doing something creative. Like he's always writing kids' books.
yeah.
He's always just super creative, you know.
Is and one thing about being in the arts is that you never get bored. There's always something to happen in your life.
Yeah,
You're in
yeah,
there.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
always, always.
yeah.
So if you're gonna listen to like you have so many avenues. I'm like, oh, I want to tap into that. I want to tap into that, that. And I'm the queen of tangents, so that might happen.
Yeah.
Um, when it's just so random that do you want to produce a TV show? It's just such a random thing. What was it
It was
like for
true.
you the first time you like? It's a whole different set of
Well, to
skills.
be fair, I can't remember which one did we do first. I think, okay, so the first thing was, yes, now I've got the timeline correct. There was a show called What Would You Do on Nickelodeon, and
Mhm.
and then they had me come in the first season just as a guest, where I rode a unicycle with a kid on my back and a little interview, and then we might have did one other bit. I can't remember. And then the next season, they're like, "Oh, you know everybody in Orlando. Will you just be the talent coordinator for this next season?" I said, "Absolutely." So I was the
Perfect.
talent coordinator for that. Then after that, my friend Margaret, who was a producer on that show, got a deal. I can't remember which came first, but she got a deal to produce a kids talk show. Well, that was great because we did like six, no, we did like, I don't know if we did like 9 test episodes that were never to be aired, getting kids in, talking about
Uh-huh.
issues, whatever,
Just doing
casting.
proof of concept, seeing what's
Yeah.
working, what's not
And so
working.
that was like 6 months of work of just me and my friend Margaret in the offices, just figuring stuff out and hanging out and chatting,
Cool.
goofing around. And so I was the producer on it. She was the executive producer. And then we also had like a PA. And so that was fun.
And you
And
really
then,
got to learn about what you had to do for any job
yeah.
you had to do.
And so then we went, and then after that, we got a deal, a small amount of money to write a pilot for Nickelodeon that didn't go. So those were the Nickelodeon days. And then
Was that
after that,
so were you in Hollywood at that point and
no,
then you
that
moved to
was all
Florida?
Orlando. That
Oh,
was
okay.
all Orlando stuff because that's
Wow.
when Nickelodeon was a big deal at the amusement park at Universal. Then after that, went through, and then we didn't have anything else going on, and I wasn't doing my show at Universal. I wasn't doing the Nickelodeon. Then that's when the wife and my wife and I took off to just do the Fringe tour from like we went from Montreal, Minnesota,
Oh, doing all the fringe festivals?
yeah, Saskatoon.
Ah.
I just did Saskatoon because she had to go back and film another season of her TV show.
Hmm.
Then over to Edmonton, Vancouver Island, which
The
is
pretty Vancouver.
the Vancouver Island, which is what is it? It's Canada. What is it?
Yeah,
Whatever it
right.
is.
BC,
Uh,
yeah.
what's the name of the town? And what's Vancouver Island? The town that we Victoria,
Oh,
Victoria. Yes, oh, are you there? You're glitching out now. Oh, you're still. You're perfectly still. Oh, there
okay,
you.
there we go. We're back.
Yes, we
It
were at
says my
Victoria.
internet connection
Yeah.
is unstable. I don't know why. Maybe it's
And
because it didn't take its Prozac this morning.
and so yeah, oh, there we go. So
Okay.
yeah, so we toured all across Canada doing fringe shows.
Wow.
And then on the way back into the United States, when we were on the ferry, Frank Olivier, the juggler, Frank Olivier,
Yes, yes.
he was like, hey, I know I smuggled my birds into Canada to do magic. Um, I'll just keep my birds on me, but will you take the cage in your car? Because it was on a ferry. My car was on a ferry. His car was on a ferry, so that if they don't see my bird cages, they won't search me
They
for
won't
birds.
get it.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I can say I'm an actual international bird cage smuggler because he had it on him. So
You
yeah,
can't do that now because
yeah, you know. So yeah, so we got the bird cage in, and that was that. And then we drove down to LA and just stayed. So that
Oh,
was
that's so cool. But LA must have been like a whole different planet from like the freedom you have from walking in parks and stuff. Did you start going in TV production immediately in LA or did you go?
no, LA was just like starting first doing doing anything I could just to make money, doing my funny comedy juggling show. Then I started getting some doing some Knott's Berry Farm, doing my show at Knott's Berry Farm. And then eventually that's when I met people to get the warm-up work, and then I sent out my headshot to like a bunch of agents and I settled on one. That's how I started doing TV commercials.
That's
So
cool.
As I said the incantation and slipped into your world, I knew my skills to manipulate gravity would allow me to make a living. I found the Nicolas Cage pillows, and they would make a lovely addition to my hijinks. Crazy Cage goes in first, and then his dynamic duo, Normal Cage, goes in second. The skills can be paid in cash. No one is the wiser from where I am from. The ladder must be pushed over. The 5 rings of a tone must be juggled. The last ring, if caught on my head, will activate my ascension. I'll see you tomorrow.
so yeah,
What-
I didn't.
What was your favorite commercial to do?
Well, I think probably one of the favorites was with Elvis because they intercut Elvis footage after he was dead because it's the whole conspiracy theory is he's still alive.
Yeah.
And I play a gas station attendant that has an Elvis shrine, and then I see him pulling into my gas station, and I try to take a picture of him, but my camera doesn't have power, and it's because it didn't have Energizer batteries. And then
Naturally.
the Energizer Bunny comes out, and that was super fun because whenever they would talk about dead celebrities making money on news shows, they would always show that commercial.
That clip.
It was fun. So there was that one. That was fun. And then I did a commercial for IBM with Eric Stone Street from Modern Family. This is way before he was famous.
Wow.
Beth Littleford.
Was that
Marshall-
those weren't with the Charlie Chaplin ones, were they?
No.
Oh, okay.
And Beth Littleford, Marshall Bell. Now, Marshall Bell, if you remember, he was in the original Total Recall. And when he opens up his shirt, Quattro comes out.
Wow.
And that's Marshall Bell. And,
Wow.
and he's in
That's
a
a
ton of
flashback.
movies. Like Marshall Bell's in Starship Troopers. He's just been in everything. And he was,
Wow.
so it was fun hanging out with Marshall and hanging out. And at the time, I think his wife was good friends with Sting's wife. And so they were always hanging out with Sting, which I always thought was funny.
Isn't that weird? Hollywood is like that. It's like,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, today I was having lunch with Ozzy Osbourne and then Arnold Schwarzenegger came over and was upset at Ozzy about something. It's like
It was weird. I was auditioning to do something at the Roosevelt Hotel, and one of the people helping book the
love the
talent
Roosevelt.
was what's Ozzy's daughter's name that was on
the
Kelly Osbourne. She was helping out, and that was one of the first times. There was this guy. He had a show in Vegas, and then it came over here called Jeff Beecham's Madhouse.
Jeff, yeah.
I'll say it. He was a complete dick. I'm like, that guy was an asshole. I went and did my audition. I got called back because I did it without him, and then he was there, and I started doing my thing. He goes, "I don't like that." And I said, "Okay, what about this?" He goes, "I don't like that. Can you do this?" And I said, "Oh, wait, you don't like what I do? I'm gonna go now. You don't need to have me here because if you don't like what I'm doing,
you are not my director. I am my director.
I do what I do. You can have this. You can't create your scenarios." And Kelly Osbourne was there, and I just left, and everyone was so, and like a lot of my magicians friends said, we were so in awe of you because I didn't care. It was like $75 a spot for like a 10-minute spot. Now, if it was like $1,000 a spot, maybe I would have like pushed and like, oh, what do you need? But
Yeah.
$75 a spot, I'm not gonna do your little
he's one of these.
games.
I have a good story from him. I was in Vegas for many years. I did the Women on the Strip show for years with Carol Montgomery and Kathleen Dunbar and Joni. And he's one of these people that a bunch of us called the show and said, "Well, do you want us to bring some of the women over?" Because I don't want women on my stage. I was like, "Okay, that's all I needed to know about you."
Yes. He's just such a weirdo,
Yeah.
you know. And one of my friends that did the show said it was always like pulling teeth to get paid, you know. So
Yeah, that
yeah,
makes sense.
so I was glad I walked out. And that was one of the few times I just was like, he wanted to have an argument because he kept on trying to argue with me. And I said, no, 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 I'm helping you. You
Yes,
do
I'm
not
making
need
this
me.
decision easy.
It's so easy. You can get to the next act. I'm going now. And he couldn't understand how we weren't having it, weren't going to have an argument. It's like, well,
Just
there's
so
no,
you know, my name is Next.
yeah, yeah, I'm fine. I'm gonna go now, you know. So
People that think they're so one of the reasons I left Hollywood, honestly. And I talk about this a few times in the show already, but I am born without the asshole gene. I do not have the gene that makes me go, fuck you, I'm doing it anyway.
okay.
But I was on a TV show for a while. I was on a TV for a while. I did stuff with Living Color for a while.
Hmm.
But every time I got off of these bigger things, I saw who I was going to work with. I was like, that's going to be an issue. I don't want to deal with that. That's going to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
another issue. I don't want to deal
yeah,
with it because there was like they wanted to cause these conflicts because it would bring more press, and bringing more
yeah, yeah,
press
yeah.
means people would watch the show. I'm like,
No, yeah, 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 yeah. No, I'm with you.
yeah,
Listen, I tell people, I've made a fine living, but I still go do birthday parties at people's houses. And the reason is like, it's very low stress.
yeah,
If I can go make 500, $750, and drive, 20 minutes to the show, get out, do and get a little bit of money, it actually works out better than sometimes a corporate show that I have to fly into. I fly in the day before, I
yep,
do the show the day of, I fly out the next day, a lot of anxiety and whatever. And it's only like, for my level, it's a couple grand, if that, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
But there's a lot of anxiety. And if you think about it also, when people go out on the ships, a lot of times they're like, oh yeah, my contract's for $5,000, but you're on a boat in the
yeah,
middle of nowhere
with no freedom.
with no freedom for 2 weeks.
And
So
everybody's like, oh yeah, I saw you last night.
yeah. And if you
That's great.
aggregate that per day, you're getting whatever, 500 a day or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
one of my big money makers is I'll do like 2 or 3 library shows in the summer every day, every day. So it's just like library, library, library.
Oh,
And
that's
they
so
let me
cool.
do what I want and they love it. The kids love it. And that allows me to do the other things that I like.
See,
And
I knew I'd like you. You're one of those performers who, much like myself, you perform because you love performing. You're
yeah,
not performing because you have to prove a point to
yeah,
anybody.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like this will be the 4th year in a row on Halloween. I go to Dick Van Dyke's house and I'm his juggler for his like they have the kids come get candy and then sit down and do a little show twice a night in this like private Malibu community. And
Yeah.
it's like Jane Seymour was there one year hanging out and enjoying what I was doing, and Simon Cowell and different people. And
Oh, is he
you know,
still dancing at these shows when he
he
do a
just
song and dance with his wife?
watches. He always watches, but he still dances a little bit just for fun, just when he's relaxed, just to stay fit. In fact,
Yeah.
weirdly
Well, I
enough,
saw him doing the gym thing a few weeks ago on Instagram. I was like,
that was Rick Springfield posted that. I
yeah,
saw the same thing.
yeah.
Yeah, because Rick Springfield was like, I don't know how Rick Springfield's like 70 or something. He goes, and this guy's doing better than I am.
I'm amazed. I'm still amazed when I see the classics. Like I still miss Rosemary. I still miss
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the Dick Van Dyke people. Mary Tyler Moore.
You know who I got to work with before he passed on was Norman Lear. He was a fan of mine. He saw me at a show in Culver City and said, "Hey, we got to do a thing." And then he said to his kid, "Get this guy's number." And then I'm at home, and Norman Lear just calls me and said, "Hey, we're having a fundraiser for LACMA at my house. Can you come over and we'll talk it through and see if there's something you can do for me?" So I go to the house, the compound, whatever.
Yeah.
We have a great chat. And then he goes, how much do you want? And I go, well, Norman, I'm such a fan. And he goes, and I said, well, I've done something similar, what we're trying to put together for like 1,500. And he looked at me like I said $15. And he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
It's
fine.
like
I don't think
that's
you
nothing.
understand. I'm worth 600 million.
Yeah.
1,500 is like $15.
Yeah. Have a Kleenex. That's what that is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got to hang out with Norman Lear and do a big show at his house with a bunch
So
of
cool.
big wigs. So that was fun.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I've done a few of those. I was never called a clean comedian by any means, but I did do a show at Disneyland when the place got closed down for everybody except for these two rock stars and this
Oh,
family.
nice.
So I got to do a show at the Cinderella's Castle. for-
Oh,
and
funny.
I'm like, I'm talking blue wearing a dress. This has never happened in the entire world of Disney.
I know.
And now it's just, they serve alcohol there.
Yeah.
So, did you get to meet Cassandra Peterson at Knott's Berry? Were you there with her?
I was not at Knott's Berry with her, but at the at Erica Larson's house where we would do Brookledge.
Ah,
She would come hang out a lot. And so I got to meet, I think I met Cassandra a couple times and hung out. Same with Paul Rubens. And then I had nice chats with like Weird Al. He was there and got a photo with Weird, and he was super nice and fun.
sweet guy.
And so many people at that show, like that's where I first met Dick Van Dyke because he was in the audience. And that's how I kind of got to know him. And then who else was come to those shows? It's like you'd have like Fred Armisen from SNL, Jason
He's one of my
Sudeikis,
superheroes.
all these, Will Forte, all these SNL people. Oh, look at there. There you got your drum. But so I would meet tons of cool folks at the Brookledge shows that I would perform at with the gang. We haven't had a Brookledge in a long time. Erica kind of lives next to the castle now in one of the apartments. I mean, she still checks in on the house, but she's just I think she's really, really into the castle right now, making sure everything is how she wants it to be,
And we were talking about Banks and I were talking about Brookledge the other day with the Wednesday Breakfast Club.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, and I guess they're refurbishing everything. Yeah, is that still-
probably they could
Yeah.
be. Yes. Yeah.
But I was there with Paul Rubens, so
Mm.
because he went to CalArts before I went to CalArts, but we had met at a CalArts reunion and started hanging
Yeah.
out. And I said,
Oh.
yeah, I worked on one of your movies. I was doing special effects animation. So what movie? Big Trump. Oh yeah, come on.
It's weird because there was a game show called You Don't Know Jack that I did warm up for that he was the host of. It was a pilot. I don't know if it actually got going or not. I don't think I saw it on.
I remember him actually talking about it at Groundlings, but yeah.
Yeah. So and that's when I didn't know him. And then later on, when I got to be friends with him, then I got on his birthday list where every time it was your birthday, you'd get a ton of nice messages throughout the day, which was really fun.
He was such a sweet man. When he
Yeah.
died, it broke me a little bit.
Yeah. And
Because
I
he
didn't
was
even
so
know
good about keeping it quiet from his
he did
friends.
because I was around him like I think I probably saw him like maybe a year and a half or something, or maybe a year.
And he was working on that documentary about himself the whole time. And
Yeah,
people were like,
yeah,
he wasn't telling anybody he was sick. He said, yeah, do you want anybody to look at him and say sick guy? He wanted to look at him and say Paul.
yeah.
Or
Yeah,
Pee-wee.
and I went and saw a live version of Pee Wee's Playhouse at Nokia when it came back, and my buddies Swazzle were doing a lot of the puppetry for it. I think made the puppets, made the original stuff, so made some of this stuff. So,
Do you know Grant Boccaccia, who does Puppet Up Theater and Mystery Science Theater?
Yes, he's a good friend of mine.
Oh, yeah, he's one of my dearest friends. He
Yeah,
was on the show just 2 weeks ago.
I had a show I still do, called Two Milk Minimum that was that's at Flappers Comedy Club on Saturdays.
I love Flappers. Yeah,
And
perfect.
he probably did 100, I came out 100 times to do throwing toasters stuff.
We were bound to run into each other sooner or later, Michael.
And then I think I might have introduced Joel Hodgson to him when then he got to do a lot of stuff from Mystery Science Theater.
Wow.
But yeah, no, I've known Grant for a ton I think we're coming on like, I don't know, 25, 30 years.
Yeah, so you guys probably met at the same time we met.
Yeah.
Because it was like in the early 90s. So
Yeah, a very long time. Yeah.
That's so funny. We were going to run into each other sooner or later.
Yeah.
So,
We know all the same people.
yeah, it's true. It's like
Yeah.
that's what my former husband Jonesy and I. One of the things that hooked us up together was that everywhere I grew up in Boston, and everywhere I grew up was places he would go at Berkeley. And so it'd be like I'd see him and not know it was him. Like I was a trustee at a museum, and he was playing piano that night. Or I was at this dinner, and he was working this show or doing that show, or dating a chef at a restaurant I just happened to go to. It's like,
Yes.
so Small Planet. I love Small Planet stories.
Yeah.
It just makes the world so much happier.
Yeah. But I mean,
So, what are you
Grant did great with Toily, his Toily puppet.
Oh, Toily is
just
hilarious.
amazing. Yeah.
I love that whole Toily story. Like Just watching him play with a roller toilet.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've done some collabs out in the yard where Toily comes to my house and we've done a few little things together. So it's
Oh,
fun.
that's too fun.
Yeah.
See, small freaking planet.
Hmm.
Plus, we got the same kind of dogs.
Yeah.
Now, do you write as well, or
Well, I mean, yes and no. Like when I'm doing my show,
Mhm.
it's there's notions that I think about and then I perform them and then I create from that. But like writing my show, no. But then, I mean, I've written sitcom specs. I got a meeting at CBS once because I really liked the spec. It was for a Larry Sanders spec script that they really thought it
Gary?
had the voice of that. But this is way back in a million years ago, way before I even had kids, I think.
Wow.
Um,
I forgot to have
but
kids, so
but like, here's the here's the nature of it all. Um, Writing is so difficult because you can be a great writer, but that has to find the buyer. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I my buddy who has Emmys from working at Everybody Loves Raymond, I talk to him like every other day.
Yeah.
Um, you know, Luckily he always drove a normal car, and instead of buying a mansion in Bel Air or Malibu, he bought a phenomenal house in Glendale. You know what I
See,
mean?
that's being
So
smart.
he's got money in the bank where a lot of his guys that you do 7 8 years making 1 million a year,
And you
you,
think,
you think you're going to make 1 million a year, and then when you make 100,000 a year, it's a big gut punch.
do you
You
remember
know,
that show MASH?
of course.
I have a friend named Jamie Faw you might have heard of.
Of course I know. Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he did the same thing. He bought real estate instead of buying things. He would just
Yeah.
buy real estate, and
Yeah.
he gets a golf course in Ohio or Toledo. He
He's
grew up.
Listen,
It's like
I
smart guy.
is Jamie Lebanese? Is he Lebanese?
He is Lebanese,
Because
and
I have
his real name has never been changed from his birth certificate. Like he just uses Jamie Faw on stage, and that's not Jamil Farad is his name. So he still
because
gets pulled over at the airport all the time.
through a series of events, Casey Kasem, who's
Oh,
Lebanese,
yes,
he in my small town in Michigan, his like uncle or something had the local supermarket because there's a big Middle Eastern community in Michigan. And
huge.
so when that supermarket, when the guy that owned it, Freddie Seifert, retired, Casey Kasem came out, and the one thing I always knew about all my Lebanese friends, and I don't know if this is a stereotype, they were smart with money. I don't know, is that a stereotype? But
Maybe, but I think it's also the Middle Eastern thing because
maybe
you
it
never know
is.
from one day to the next what the weather's going to be like
Maybe
and
that's
how bad
true.
you're
Yeah, yeah,
not going to have whatever.
yeah, yeah. Whereas, like, I know, talking to my friends, that there's people have to downsize their mansions. Listen, we live in the valley in a 1,500 square foot house, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, and
Same as us.
the kids each have their own room. The wife and I have our room. We have a nice big living room. We have 2 bathrooms, and so
You guys
uh,
a dog.
we're we're good. We're good. We didn't have to downsize from the mansion. You know what I
And
mean?
that's a huge thing. People don't understand. They don't teach you that when you're in entertainment. They don't
Yeah,
teach
yeah,
you that you need to plan for the fact that every day isn't going to happen the way you think it's going to
yeah,
happen, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
When
Well,
I was
also,
in film school even, it would be like,
yeah,
"Yeah, you write for grants and you do this and you're gonna end up with this,
yeah,
fellowship and that fellow." It's like,
yeah,
no, dude.
yeah,
I worked in special effects. Do you know how many jobs I had in one year? 2.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know? Yeah.
And so I do write, but the main thing is always the live show. Live show, then everything else is fun after that.
I don't know about you, I don't think I'll ever retire from comedy. I mean, I did Second City forever. I did stand up forever. I just can't see
No,
myself giving up
if I
entertainment.
physically can do my thing, I'll do my thing. I mean, Bob Newhart, Buddy Hackett, all these old school guys, they were going on stage
Sandy Hackett, somebody's son. He's
yeah,
still doing the Rat Pack shows.
until they couldn't do their show, they were doing their show.
Yeah, that's
You
the way it
know,
should be. George
yeah,
Burns,
you
Mr.
know,
Dick Van Dyke himself.
yeah, yeah. So it's like I'm doing the show until I can't do the show.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
there
That
you go.
that to me is so much more charming than people who are like, well, yeah, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna retire to Idaho. It's like, okay, that's good
Yeah.
for you. That's what you want to do. Um, what type of shows are you working in now? Are you just doing live shows in corporate
Um,
or?
yeah, you know what? I'll run you through like a guy reached out and said, "Hey, can you come down to the Pendry Hotel and do 15 minutes for $500?" I'm like, "Yes, I can." And then another person said, "Can you come to a pumpkin patch and do 15 minutes for $250?" Yes, I can. You know, let's see what else is there. Then there's like the Dick Van Dyke have me out. Then people know me so much that I'm always getting a call to go do a thing. Like I did a Shimchat Torah, a very Orthodox show. It was on a Tuesday, but I know I've done Orthodox shows before, so I know like if I can't balance your shoe on my nose for 7 seconds, you get $1. But if I do it on a Saturday, I do not hand money to the kids because I can't touch money.
That's
Well,
right.
it was a Tuesday, and I thought it was fine. But afterwards, the rabbi, who was nice, he said, "Oh, they can't touch money on this holiday." And I said, "I didn't know that." I said, "I've done it on Hanukkah on a Tuesday." And
Oh, that's a different holiday.
that's exactly what he said. He goes, "Oh, that's Hanukkah." He made
And
it
then
like, yeah,
Shabbat Shalom. Yeah.
we just made that Hanukkah thing up for, to whatever. He's like, "It's not even a thing. Don't even work. That's not even." He was like, so I get a call from that, and so it's like I'm always just, then there's like weird things, and it's like I get called to go to a brewery in Denver, and then another brewery over in outside of Portland. I fly into Portland, but then I just go west to the coast
Oh, it's
to
like
like
Astoria or Long.
Astoria.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, I
where,
love Astoria. That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
land of the Goonies.
yeah, Astoria. I think it's Astoria where they have a big brewery there and a big rock and roll festival. It's a big it's something, it has more of a gothic name or something. What is it? But I'm like the only comedy act they have. It's mostly rock bands and
That's
stuff.
cool.
And it's the 2 years I've done it, it's always raining, but we still do it. And the audience is in a tent, I'm in a tent, and it still works and still fun. So yeah.
Is there any type of a piece of juggling that you've wanted to try but haven't?
No, what I work on mostly is like it took me until this year, probably, I don't know, half a year ago, where I can spin two things on two parasols at the same time because I have to look at both things. If you look at my social media, you'll see me spinning two donuts on two parasols. The thing I want to work on, and I don't know if it'll ever happen, is being able to do that on a unicycle. And I might not even ever have that in the show because my actual goal is to only be able to take two tennis rackets,
Uh,
and two parasols, to a show and be able to do 45 minutes,
that's
because
cool.
it's like when you have to schlep everything, I'm telling you, because I bring a cymbal to the show so I can balance a cymbal and do the racket tricks and hit the cymbal. So
Uh,
it's downsizing the show so it fits in a very, very streamlined.
where your suitcase becomes a wallet.
Yes. Yes.
I want the piece of string and
Yeah.
the apple,
I
and
mean,
then
when I see
just like
these
Kelly does.
magicians that have packed their whole show in a travel case that can be on the plane,
Yeah, a deck
that's
of
amazing.
cards,
Yeah.
the other deck of
I
cards.
mean, Dave Williamson, who I just did a show with at a wedding in Minnesota, we did a show together. We knew of each other, but I don't think we ever had done a show together.
Mm,
But the fact that a lot of his show is just cards. He just needs cards, and that's it. You know what I mean?
that's
So
astonishing.
that's
Mike Close is like that. I don't know if you ever heard of Mike Close, but
I've heard.
he
I've never met him in real life, but yeah,
he's fascinating fella. But
yeah,
he's close-up magician named
yeah,
Mike Close, who has done more things with a deck of cards than I've ever seen in my entire life.
yeah,
It's like, and it
yeah.
paid for his adoption. He adopted his daughter with that money, so good for him.
Nice. No, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
You're just so interesting to me because, well, for many reasons. You're just a nice human being, and I think that comes across really
I hope
easily.
so.
Or you could be a jerk. I don't know, but I'm gonna
Well,
tell everybody
that's
you're a nice guy.
that's the funny paradox is like, it's like, sometimes on stage we're a little bit more aggressive. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, that's just the nature of being on stage or whatever. But then in real life, you're more soft spoken, and it's always that weird disconnect. You know what I mean? Um, and also it's like it's more so it's like having a family, you know, and having a wife and just and you know just a no drama environment.
Isn't that fun?
We're a very no drama family, you
That's why I
know.
left Vegas. I was tired of the drama.
Yeah, and Vegas, man. I was just talking to my friend Lindsay Benner, if you know, if you ever, she's a juggler that she works with like the absent people a lot on different shows out there.
Wow.
Um, and you know, it's like Vegas, man, they priced everything so high that no one's coming because
Yeah.
the city is crumbling economically right now because wants to buy a $25 cappuccino, you know what I mean?
Or pay for parking.
Yeah.
When did
Yeah.
that
Yeah, we
start?
just flew in and flew out. We just flew Spirit with no luggage to fly in, go to Omega Mart and go and see the exhibits, which was really fun.
Mhm.
And then have lunch and dinner. I think we first had lunch, did Omega Mart, then had dinner and
Wow.
flew out. And we popped into one of the casinos to check out some little dessert place. And you know, what is it? Like $20 just to go in for an hour, you
Isn't
know?
it ridiculous?
And it's
And
like
all you can hear is hello, hello.
I know it's just so, and but my wife was so worried about the last time we were there. If you got on the strip, it took an hour to get from the top
Oh,
to
you
the
couldn't go
bottom.
anywhere.
You
Yeah,
couldn't go
I
anywhere.
left. My divorce happened in 2015, so I've been out of there since 2015. But
So
I
you
friends.
could not move.
Mm-mm.
And she was worried. And I said, no, I said, I did a birthday party in Vegas like a few years before we went, just
Mm.
recently. And I said, it's no one's there. And she was like, we got on this trip and it was like, it took like 10 minutes or less. It
That's
was like,
amazing. Isn't it astonishing? And
no,
did they still have the monorail when you were there, or is that
I
gone?
didn't, I think it might be there, but I didn't even see.
Mm.
I'm not sure, but the,
Yeah, there's so much. I mean, all the comedians I know are moving out there now because they're retiring in Vegas instead of Florida, thinking that they'll get more gigs. And now
yeah,
they're having to open their own comedy shows up. So
yeah,
Steve Pearl, Campanera, Brad Garrett, they're all out there now. So
yeah. But it's like, I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan. It's like I don't gamble, you know what I mean? And
I
it's
don't
like,
drink, I don't gamble, I
yeah,
don't
and so it's
smoke,
like there's nothing
I eat.
really. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. I go to the beach. I have a kayak. I go to the beach. That's what I
Yeah,
do.
you know,
Yeah.
my buddy, he just moved back to Long Beach, but the guy that worked on Everybody's Raymond had an apartment overlooking is it Puget Sound? Is it the into
Puget Sound?
is
Is
that
it?
into Seattle, like the
Yes. It's
water that
beautiful.
and he had a kayak and he would pop out and kayak every morning or not.
That's my dream is I would
Yeah,
love to
yeah,
do that. I was
yeah,
living in Half Moon Bay doing that
yeah,
before I
yeah,
came up here. But we wanted to buy a house. We just got married. We wanted to buy a house. Can't afford one in San Francisco.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. So you
not
know,
an entertainer salary.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. There you go.
so we ended up here. Love it up here though,
Yeah,
because there's a big arts community. The dogs are happy, the cats are happy. There's a chicken coop in back. We haven't
nice.
put any animals in it, but we got one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's pretty amazing. It's just so nice to talk to somebody who gets what it's like to be in the arts. It doesn't make it all about themselves. You just make it about what your adventure has been, and I think that's
Yeah.
exciting. That's
No,
really
I
cool.
hope so. You know,
Yeah,
and
if you allow us, I'd love to be able to share some of the video of some of the work you've done.
sure, of
Just,
course.
you can send me clips and I'll make sure they're in the video. I want to thank, and don't go away yet, but I'm gonna thank you, Mr. Michael Rayner, for being here and being so warm and wonderful, and just made me realize why I loved entertainment so much, because there are
Awesome.
people like you in the world.
Well, that's
Uh,
good.
and this has been the Antisocial Hour-ish show with our guest this week, Michael Rayner. Next week we have, let me look. We have Bob North, who is amazing woman in comedy of a certain age. And we will talk to you next time. Thank you.